This is ESPN Classic.
Throughout their history, the Washington Redskins have been involved in some great National Football League rivalries. But it's doubtful that any can stack up to the Washington-Dallas matchups since the Cowboys came into the league, and in particular the 8 regular season games that have been played since George Allen came to Washington and returned the Redskins to playoff status. Last season, 2 more thrilling chapters to this storybook rivalry were added. First in Washington, the Redskins jumped to a 28-0 lead, then had to hang on to hold off a furious Dallas rally that brought the final score to 28-21. Then in Dallas on Thanksgiving Day, the most exciting chapter ever was added, for few will ever forget Clint Longley's touchdown pass to Drew Pearson with only seconds remaining that lifted Dallas to a 24-23 victory. The only thing missing last season was the fact that Dallas was not involved in the pennant race. But this year, it's that same old story again. For coming into today's game, Dallas holds a 1-game lead over Washington in the battle for first place in the NFC East Division. Today's game would add even more sparkle to this richest of rivalries as the Washington Redskins face the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL Game of the Week. As is his custom, George Allen gave his usual 40 men together, can't lose, fire and brimstone pep talk that seemed to work early in the game for his 2 favorite units. The defense and special teams came out smoking. The Redskin defense held the Cowboys without a first down on their first possession, and the Washington punt return team loosed Larry Jones for 24 yards. The fumble came after the whistle. Thus, Washington's first drive would begin from super field position on the Dallas 41. And on their very first offensive play, Billy Kilmer went for it all. Excellent coverage by Mark Washington on Frank Grant defused Kilmer's bomb. But Grant was to play a big role in today's game, and his 10-yard pickup on a tough sideline catch brought the Skins to the Dallas 27. Grant has been filling in for injured Roy Jefferson so well that Jefferson may be a while before getting back into the lineup. And this Grant grab was the last advancement by the Washington offense that set up a Mark Mosley field goal and a 3-0 Redskin lead. On the kickoff following the score, the Redskins special teams were at it again when John Pergine, number 52, popped Roland Woolsey into the air and forced him to cough up the ball. Washington's second drive would begin even deeper than the first, this time from the Dallas 27. But this time the Redskins would not score. Cliff Harris wrestled the ball away from Grant, causing an incompletion on a third down pass, and Mosley missed a 29-yard field goal try. Not taking advantage of an opponent's turnover was uncharacteristic behavior of the Redskins, but even more unusual was the fact that they gave the ball away 4 times in the first half alone. Mark Washington's interception on a pass again intended for Grant sparked the Dallas offense, and for the first time in the game, Roger Staubach began to move the Cowboys. Drew Pearson picked up 21 yards, and the Cowboys' other wide receiver, Golden Richards, made a great juggling catch on the sideline. But officials ruled that Richards did not have possession while inbounds. Facing a 3rd and 4, Staubach elected to pass for it, but could find no one open and frantically tried to run. Roger could only dodge for 1 yard, and into the game came Tony Frisch to try a 43-yarder. Frisch, hero of Dallas' last second victory over the Eagles the week before, obviously missed, then gave a demonstration of the art of talking to oneself. Dallas had now also failed to capitalize on an opponent's turnover, but there were lots more coming. First, Mike Thomas fumbled when met by omnipresent Mark Washington, and Dallas recovered on the Washington 18. 2 runs brought up a 3rd and 4, and on the first play of the second quarter, and in a passing situation, Staubach went back into Dallas' shotgun formation. This formation gives him more time to pick out a receiver since he's watching their patterns from the snap rather than dropping back with his back to them. What Staubach picked out was Preston Pearson for the touchdown. Pearson, picked up from the Steelers, has been a pleasant surprise to the Dallas offense this season, and his touchdown put Dallas ahead 7-3.
Marijuana, cost me a lot of things. I mean, I used to be a straight-A student, I was liked by all the neighbors, Never really caused any trouble. I was always a good kid, growing up, it was all right. Before I knew it, I was getting thrown out of my house. I mean, it's crazy to think what really happened to me. I was a good kid, straight-A students. Next thing I know, I'm getting thrown out of my house, and it's like, I just became a total loser.
I got a new car with the red tail lights, like blue on the corners, and it's hung in tight. It's got a rag top and a contour hood. She goes up, and she's wrong. Let's go!
The 1999 Mazda Miata. Set it free, and it'll return the favor.
Hey! No, down here. Instead of running out for stamps, shouldn't you be running your business? Imagine a simpler way. Get the Personal Post postage meter from Pitney Bowes. Send mail without ever going out for stamps. Just weigh, punch in the postage, and voila. Professionally metered mail and no wasted postage. You can also add a personal message to get your mail noticed.
And postage refills by phone in 30 seconds, day or night.
Now listen up, because here's what you'll get. Besides a lot more time.
You'll get the postage meter and money-saving electronic scale
So there's no wasted postage.
for a 90-day free trial.
Free is good.
You'll also get the Mail Marketer software.
Create really nifty direct mail to help your business grow.
Call now for your 90-day free trial, and you'll also get our Mail Marketer software absolutely free.
Now watch your business grow. Hey, I look good in red. The Personal Post postage meter from Pitney Bowes. Who else?
Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody touching. Grab. Nobody touching. Put your shoulders in there out there.
ESPN Classic. Are you old school? This is ESPN Classic.
On Washington's next series, they again turned the ball over when Kilmer overthrew Mike Thomas and Cliff Harris intercepted and carried to the Dallas 32. For the third consecutive series, Washington had given the ball away, and for the second straight time, the turnover would lead to a Dallas touchdown. Good running by Robert Newhouse, plus a piling on penalty on Brad Dusick, brought Dallas in close, and again on a third down, Staubach threw for it. This time from the conventional pro set, finding the Cowboys' other Pearson, Drew, who had inside position on Pat Fisher. Pearson's fumble came clearly after the score, as the replay will show. The touchdown put Dallas ahead 14-3. They were beating the Redskins at their own game, creating turnovers and taking advantage of them. Looking at Pearson's touchdown again, we can see that he certainly had possession before Bryant Salter salted him away. Dallas now took another piece from George Allen's game plan and shot down Bob Brunet with a good special team hit by Tom Henderson. Though Allen gets all the ink about his attention to special teams, in truth, any good team must get tough play from their bomb squatters, and Dallas is no exception. They get tough play from their entire roster. That's why they're in first place. It was all going the Cowboys' way until 3 plays after the kickoff, when Frank Grant caught a Kilmer shot over the middle and outraced literally the entire Dallas secondary. The play covered 46 yards and brought Washington back to a 4-point deficit. All things considered, turnovers especially, the Redskins were glad to be still in the game. On Dallas' next possession, they trotted out the old wide receiver reverse pass, but Golden Richards was unable to spot a receiver. After Mike Bass went over the top of him, Richards reversed again, and thanks to his speed, was able to gain 11 yards on a play that might have been a big loss. Staubach then used Richards in the usual manner, and the wide receiver from the University of Hawaii gained 12 more yards on a perfect sideline pass. Then from the 16, Staubach tried to sneak Preston Pearson in again, but Brad Dusick just managed to break up the play. Dallas was forced to settle for a field goal to lead 17-10, then got a chance to add to their lead. Mike Thomas fumbled when swiped at by Harvey Martin, and Too Tall Jones recovered. Jones was ruled down on the Washington 46, but he had claimed the 4th turnover of the first half committed by the Washington offense. With less than 2 minutes left, Dallas went to the shotgun again and got 24 yards closer on a great catch by Gene Fugate. Fugate, like Frank Grant, is getting to play more because of an injury. Billy Joe Dupree, the Cowboys' regular tight end, is out with a bad hand, and Fugate has filled in beautifully. Dallas eventually reached the 3, but with a chance to put Washington in a big hole down by 2 touchdowns, they committed their 2nd turnover when Ron McDowell, number 79, popped the ball from Staubach's hands into his to keep Dallas off the board. Dallas still led by just 7, 17-10 at the end of the first half.
The newest addition to our family. Care to see the baby pictures? The new Jaguar S-Type. Call for your free brochure. With its spirited V6 engine, the new Jaguar S-Type is fast. Fortunately, however, it's not out of reach. For your free brochure, call 1-877-S-Type 38.
Do you dare to be bare everywhere? Can you expose your toes? Or do you hide them because of embarrassing, ugly nail fungus that turns nails' colors, makes them thick or brittle? Well, now you can discover how it's possible to get healthier nails, more beautiful nails back. By calling this number, you'll receive a free video and learn about effective oral treatments your doctor has. Remember, there are 20 little reasons you should call for your free video on nail care and treatments. This year, quit covering up because of embarrassing nail fungus. Learn how to lose those shoes and love it. Then dare to be bare everywhere. Because fungus-free nails are a bare necessity.
This is ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
Down by 7, Kilmer began the second half by passing his team downfield and into the end zone to tie the game. On the 66-yard, 10-play drive, he utilized all three of his receivers, Charlie Taylor, Frank Grant, and Jerry Smith. Watching Kilmer on this drive, you have to wonder about his reputation as a knuckleball non-passer. The old pot-bellied stove, Sonny Jurgensen, could not have done better. The six-pointer came off a play action to Mike Thomas. Charlie Taylor's touchdown had deadlocked the ball game at 17 apiece. The next time he got possession, Kilmer continued his bombardment. The big play coming on a 20-yard pass to Mike Thomas just before the third quarter ended. So far, Kilmer's hot hand had seen him hit on 8 for 10 in the new half. However, the second play of the fourth quarter, a pass intended to Smith, ended up in the arms of Leroy Jordan, and the Washington threat was ended. Any hopes Roger Staubach entertained of emulating Kilmer's passing barrage were quickly snuffed out by the enraged Redskin defense. Staubach was sacked on 2 consecutive plays that brought the ball back near the Cowboys' goal, so that on fourth down, Mitch Hoops was punting from deep in the end zone. Hoops' surprise pass to Bob Brunig was complete for 21 yards and a first down. But another look reveals that the play was born from the intense pressure from the Skins' vaunted special teams. Hoops simply didn't have time to kick due to the ferocious rush by the outside men. But the irony was that instead of a blocked punt, it produced a first down for Dallas. The Cowboys' offense continued to sputter in the second half, however, and it was the Dallas defense that finally put some points on the board. Cliff Harris' 27-yard interception return of Kilmer's pass put Dallas in front once again by 7, with only 5 minutes remaining in this game so vital to the standings in the NFC East. All that was left was to stop Kilmer once more. Not so easy a task. Frank Grant was the recipient of a 9-yard pass at the left sideline. Then 2 plays later, Mike Thomas outraced his coverage and took a pass good for 24 yards to the Cowboy 21, where Mel Renfro ran him out. Several plays later, Thomas brought the ball closer to the Cowboys' goal. But the Skins were faced with a 4th and 2 dilemma on the Dallas 13. George Allen ignored the field goal and went for the tie, much to the satisfaction of the partisan crowd, which rocked RFK Stadium with approval. 4th and 2, a very big play. The Cowboy defense dug in. But Mike Thomas ran wide for 6 yards to the Dallas 7 for the crucial first down. On the very next play, Kilmer dumped the football to Jerry Smith for the touchdown that tied up the ball game. Many felt that Washington would be hurting this season without Jurgensen ready to come off the bench and provide his superb touch to the air attack. Sonny's retirement plus the virtual loss of Larry Brown could have been the kiss of death. But Washington has come up with rookie Mike Thomas to replace Brown. And Kilmer's passing has made the Skins second only to Dallas in the conference. With Smith, Taylor, Jefferson, and now Frank Grant at the ends, the Washington reception through the airways is coming in clear and strong. With under 2 minutes to play, Washington and Dallas were even up at 24-24. Staubach and the Cowboys from the shotgun came out throwing. And for the first time in the second half, the Dodger hit with consistency as he connected on 4 straight passes that brought the ball to the Washington 21. One of the 4 passes was most unusual. Despite the shotgun formation, Staubach was under a heavy rush, and his pass bounced off Cowboy Ralph Neely's helmet to Charlie Young for a 5-yard completion. Neely was probably the only one in the stadium at the time to realize the play was illegal. Nevertheless, Dallas now had a shot at kicking a game-winning field goal for the second week in a row. The week before, Tony Frisch had beaten the Eagles with no time left. Aware of this, George Allen called a timeout to give Frisch ample opportunity to think about the importance of his 38-yard attempt. The 30-year-old Austrian's reaction tells the story, as his failure sent this tie ball game into sudden death overtime.
For the 1% of the world that expects more from a truck, there's the all-new GMC Sierra. Completely redesigned with the first ever standard 4-wheel anti-lock disc brakes on a half-ton pickup and our largest cab ever. 1%ers, your wait is over. Come in now during the National Sierra Invitation Days. It's your chance to make comparisons, not compromises.
You heard about the High Endurance Deodorant Challenge from Old Spice? It's great at stopping odor. But what if you gotta stop sweat? Well, High Endurance makes a powerful antiperspirant. A white solid that goes on clear. See? No white flakes. So you can stay dry without the white mess you get from some other antiperspirants. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. So take the challenge. Because this is more than just an antiperspirant. This is the high endurance of antiperspirants.
What do Cub Cadet tractors dream about? Leveling everything in sight. When you've got a tough job, get a tough tractor. Cub Cadet. With a solid steel drive shaft, welded steel frame, and cast iron front axle. Backed by a 5-year limited warranty. Call now and you'll get 0% financing for 12 months. Cub Cadets work harder, so you don't have to. With features like hydraulic lift, power steering with tilt, and cruise control. Not to mention a major appetite. It's Cub Tough. Cub Cadet. Call now for information on the complete line of Cub Cadets and get 0% financing for the next 12 months. Cub Cadet. American made, American owned.
Big Fights Boxing Hour gives you access to the largest boxing library in the world. Here's what you can check out in this library. Rare footage of classic fighters, the stories from outside the ring, and volumes of the greatest action in boxing history. Every week, Al Bernstein puts you ringside for classic fights you can't see anywhere else. Ali, Marciano, Leonard, Lewis, plus hard-hitting fighters every boxing fan ought to know. Big Fights Boxing Hour, Tuesday at 10, only on ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
What might have been the most important call of the day was the Cowboys when the coin came up heads. signifying they had won the toss and would have the vital first possession in sudden death. Since the rule was instituted in the NFL last season, few teams have had the experience of playing in sudden death, and Dallas is one of them, beating St. Louis in the season's second week. It looked as if that introduction to this unique pressure would give them the edge, when on the overtime second play from scrimmage, Staubach threw to Drew Pearson for 32 big yards. But 3 plays later, under a blitz from Hamburger, Staubach threw a wobbler into the hands of Kenny Houston, and Washington had the ball on the biggest play of a day in which there were many. Houston had returned the theft 14 yards, but Washington got an additional 15 when Staubach, of all people, was called for a personal foul for slugging. Thus, the Skins had a new life and the ball in Dallas territory. In the midst of the bedlam stood Kilmer, the man who had been both hero and goat today. Upon his shoulders rested the outcome of this classic battle. Kilmer's first pass of overtime was complete to reliable Charlie Taylor, but it was his second that was most crucial, for it came with 3rd and 6 from the 19. Kilmer calmly pinpointed a very difficult sideline pass to Taylor for the first down. Then on 2 consecutive runs, the once familiar figure of Larry Brown brought the ball to the 1-yard line. Now at 6 minutes 34 seconds of sudden death overtime, from the 1, Billy Kilmer, not wishing to risk a handoff, called his own number and went up and over for the game-winning score. It was Kilmer's first sneak in 3 years. Gentlemen, you saw a classic football game today, George Allen said in the locker room. You saw a team and a quarterback with real character. Allen's comments are accurate, but they apply to both teams on the field today. For it takes 2 to make a great rivalry, and that is what the Washington-Dallas matchups have become. Luckily for football fans, there's only 6 more weeks until the sequel in Dallas.
Start looking forward to the drive home. Stop commuting. Start driving. Introducing Alero. Alero by Oldsmobile. Start something.
Why do I rent from Enterprise? Very simple. No stress.
We'll be happy to
They arrange to pick me up free, so I don't have to ask anyone for a ride. See? No stress.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Oh, beautiful, oh, spacious skies, oh, rainbow waves of grain, oh, purple mountains, majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Living heartburn-free just got easier. Just keep one of these handy. Pepcid AC Chewables. Minty chewables in their own little wrappers. They go wherever you go to stop heartburn before it starts. What can be easier than that?
ESPN Classic. Are you old school? This is ESPN Classic.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
It's called the second season, the playoff path to the Super Bowl. In last week's exciting first round of postseason play, nowhere was there more exciting, explosive football than in sunny Baltimore, Maryland, where the Colts played the Raiders. Led by Burt Jones, the finest young quarterback in pro football, Baltimore had won its third consecutive Eastern Division crown in the American Conference, while Oakland and its unflappable veteran, deadly accurate Ken Stabler entered the playoffs as the wild card team and would be trying to attempt something they've never achieved before, a playoff win in somebody else's ballpark. Two of the most interesting offensive teams in pro football in Phase 1 on the road to Super Bowl 12. Right from the starting gun, there were fireworks as Oakland's Carl Garrett took the opening kickoff on the one and burned it back 40 yards. But there was to be no scoring on this series, or until late in the first quarter for that matter, mostly because of number 8 Ray Guy, whose booming kicks, he punted twice in the first period, each time for 51 yards, kept Baltimore pinned deep in their own territory. There is no doubt Guy is the premier punter in all of football, perhaps the best ever, and his value to the Raiders is immense. The Colts never did extricate themselves from Guy's punting barrage, but did come close on a bomb from Jones to Freddie Scott that was beautifully played by number 24, 15-year veteran Willie Brown, one of the great cornerbacks in the game. Late in the quarter, Jones was sacked by John Matusak on his own 5-yard line, and Baltimore was forced to punt from deep in its end zone. The result was fine field position for the Raiders, and Kenny Stabler was quick to exploit it. The big play was provided by setback Clarence Davis, number 28, who tore over left guard and ran 30 yards for the first score of the game. Another look at this clutch play by a player who makes a habit of them, remember Super Bowl 11, shows that the little halfback from USC broke several tackles on his way to the end zone. But Oakland's 7-0 lead was short-lived. For less than 2 minutes into the second quarter, the snake was bitten by the Baltimore defense. Number 40, strong safety Bruce Laird, stepped in front of Mark Van Egan and streaked 61 yards for the tying touchdown. With the score knotted at 7, the defenses of both these high-caliber football teams took turns slugging it out for most of the remainder of the second quarter. Stabler was denied access to the air by a Colts secondary that is not rated among the best, while Burt Jones was constantly hurried and harassed by the Raiders' strong 3-4. This painful sack was just one of 6 the Ruston rifle would suffer on this bright Christmas Eve afternoon. With both offenses impotent for much of the second quarter, Oakland Stabler was undershooting some of his passes on this day, which saw temperatures reach 51 degrees and the condition of the grassless field good and dry. Then, with 7 minutes left in the half, Burt Jones and the Baltimore attack began moving the ball for the first time, going from their own 20 to the Raider 19. But there the rally ended when on third down, number 32, Jack Tatum, just missed picking one off. Baltimore's Ted Marchibroda called on Tony Linhart, who delivered a 36-yard field goal that put the Colts ahead by 3. Now, with less than 2 minutes left in the half, the Raiders came roaring downfield on the arm of the snake. Mark Van Egan brought the ball to the Baltimore 23, and Oakland had plenty of time to go for 6. But with a golden opportunity to score, Clarence Davis lost the ball and the Colts recovered. Closely contested first half ended with John Madden's Raiders on the short end of a 10-7 score.
Don't worry, little one. Daddy's got Tylenol for his headache. Tylenol works on headache pain without the risk of stomach irritation. So before you know it, Daddy's going to be right as rain.
Enterprise rent a car for my trip? Looks expensive.
It's not expensive, Mom.
They pick us up? Sounds expensive.
Pickup's free, Mom.
Well, if it's not expensive, why didn't I get a convertible?
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
You heard about the high-endurance deodorant challenge from Old Spice? It's great at stopping odor. But what if you gotta stop sweat? Well, high endurance makes a powerful antiperspirant. A white solid that goes on clear. See? No white flakes. So you can stay dry without the white mess you get from some other antiperspirants. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. So take the challenge. Because this is more than just an antiperspirant. This is the high endurance of antiperspirants.
Some of the most common odor problems in cars are caused by pets, food, and smoking. But now there's Odorex, new from Turtle Wax. Odorex sprays directly onto upholstery and carpets. Odorex encapsulates odors, eliminates them, and leaves you with a clean, fresh scent. It's not an air freshener, it's an odor eliminator. New Odorex from Turtle Wax. Use it in the home, too. Odorex.
This vehicle is a lot like an all-weather coat. I mean, you know, a tough one. It's ready for the elements, ready for any situation. But there's a surprise. When you go to put this thing on, oh, that's actually pretty smooth. There's fur in here. This is comfortable. That's the experience of looking at a Pathfinder and then getting into it. You're in a whole different world inside, and it's one of comfort and luxury.
Sports Century's 50 Greatest Athletes, a year-long celebration. Number 41, Wilma Rudolph. Tonight at 10:30 on ESPN. Presented by General Motors.
Tonight on ESPN Classic, at 8, it's a look at the undefeated Rocky Marciano on Behind the Fights. Then at 9, Maryland takes on Notre Dame on College Basketball Classics. Tonight, only on ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
In the second half, the tempo of the game increased sharply. On Oakland's first series, Stabler let go with a bomb to Cliff Branch, who had raced ahead of Nelson Muncie, number 31. The play was good for 41 yards and had taken a great leaping catch by the All-Pro receiver from Colorado. Branch was ruled down where he landed, and on the very next play, Van Egan, sprung by a block on Muncie by Branch, gained 16 yards to the Baltimore 12. Two plays later, Stabler calmly passed to tight end Dave Casper for the touchdown that gave the Raiders a 14-10 advantage. But as the saying goes, not for long. On the kickoff following Casper's touchdown, Marshall Johnson, an obscure wide receiver from the University of Houston, took a short kickoff, skirted the wedge, and was off to the races. 87 yards to put Baltimore right back in the lead. Leading by 3 again, the Colts came up with a big play on the next series when Bruce Laird intercepted Stabler for the second time, and the Colts had the ball in Raider territory. Here, the Oakland defense got tough, very tough. And on 4th and 20, David Lee went back to punt. For the second time in 3 weeks, the result was disastrous for the Colts. In the season's next to last game, Detroit had beaten Baltimore on a blocked Lee punt. This time, the Raiders recovered at the Colts 16. But the effect was just as damaging, for 3 plays later, Stabler, off a pump fake, found Dave Casper all alone over the middle and sidearmed the ball to him for his second touchdown catch of the game. Oakland now led this seesaw battle 21-17. The Colts and Raiders had combined for 21 points in under 4 minutes, 4 points more than they had scored in the entire first half. But the pace slowed momentarily, however, as neither team could score on its next possession, although each did move into the other's side of the field. Freddie Scott's juggling, painful catch began the Colts' drive with a 19-yard gain. And a repeat reveals what a remarkable catch Scott made. Scott had a tenuous grasp on the ball at best when Monty Johnson wasted him. But Scott, who was again filling in for Roger Carr, has sure hands. And his great catch makes it hard to believe that on the very next play, he didn't appear to have any hands at all. Though the Colts reached the Raider 35 and Oakland made it to the Baltimore 37, neither could score. But early in the fourth quarter, the Colts began another point deluge. Jones passed brilliantly on the drive, working number 35 Glenn Doughty outside and Lydell Mitchell in between the Oakland pass coverage zones. With 41 yards worth of completions, Jones had the Raiders rocked back on their heels, and after 4 runs gained 28 more yards, Jones went for the touch with another pass. Though Lester Hayes appears to be exulting after a good play, he was actually reacting to a pass interference call made against him that gave Baltimore a first down on the Oakland 1-yard line. The Raiders, Monty Johnson in particular, did not quite see eye to eye with the officials, for the penalty set up Baltimore for an almost certain 6 points. But the points did not come easily. The fired-up Raider defense did not give an inch on 3 cracks from the 1-yard line. And even on the 4th, Ron Lee was not sure he had made it either. Lee had made it, however. Baltimore led 24-21, and the race was on again.
Oh my gosh, that was great. I know. Yeah, I know. And now we have to go. Oh my gosh, Brian's gonna be
Now 100% of the people can get on the internet, because when you buy a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor as low as $37 a month, you'll get the internet included. Call 1-800-GATEWAY, click or come in. We talk to 50,000 people a day. We know the internet is calling you. Get a Gateway Essential PC with a 400 megahertz Intel Celeron processor, and we'll give you a year on the internet.
Golf Digest presents 50 ways to lower your score.
To get greater distance, turn your right foot out. For a better backswing, don't slide. Turn your hips instead.
Now, lower your score, drive longer, hit straighter, and play your best golf ever with the 50 new stroke-saving tips in every Golf Digest. Call now for your risk-free trial issue. If you like it, get 11 more issues, 12 in all, for just $19.97. Plus, get this stroke-saving video free.
Call 800-651-3200.
The hair is big, the tube socks are high, and the action is down and dirty.
Can you dig it?
All the moves are on ESPN Classic, roller derby style.
Ouch.
Right on. The forces of good versus some bad.
Shut your mouth.
So join the pack for a crash course in old school. I'm talking roller superstar.
You said it.
Friday and Saturday late nights only on ESPN Classic. Baby, it's dynamite.
ESPN Classic. Are you old school? This is ESPN Classic.
It would take the Raiders just 5 plays to get the touchdown back, as they too were aided by a pass interference call when Nelson Muncie backed into Cliff Branch. And Oakland had a first down on the Baltimore 1. The Raiders, unlike the Colts, had no struggle getting into the end zone. On the next play, designated touchdown scorer Pete Banaszak, number 40, charged over the Colt goal line, and Oakland had reclaimed the lead 28-24. Now it was Baltimore's turn on the upside of the seesaw battle. They used only 4 plays to go 73 yards for another touchdown. The first play of the drive was a 30-yard pass to Raymond Chester, and a look from the end zone reveals how well Jones used his tight end. waiting for number 87 to break past number 58, Bonnie Johnson, then dropping the ball over the beaten Oakland middle linebacker. Jones now centered his attentions on running back Ron Lee, who got all of the remaining 43 yards of the drive on just 3 plays. The first was a 16-yard pass reception, followed by a 14-yard run around the Raider right side. Lee, a second-year man from West Virginia, has become a very valuable Colt. At 6'4", 228 pounds, he is the biggest Baltimore back, but also the fastest, and he polished off the Colt drive from 13 yards out. A repeat of Lee's touchdown reveals another facet of his blossoming talent. The play was designed to go off tackle, but Lee found a hole elsewhere, made a quick and decisive cut, and found an easy path to 6 points. This time, the teams had used only 2.5 minutes to score 21 points. But Baltimore owned 2 of the 3 touchdowns and led 31-28. Leading by 3, the Colts later had a chance to run out the clock and dethrone the defending champions. But the Raiders are just that, champions, and they made the plays on defense when they had to. The biggest offensive play was a 2nd and 10 with 2 minutes, 17 seconds left. A 42-yard pass to superb tight end Dave Casper carried the Raiders to the Colt 14. And an end zone repeat reveals why Casper is an all-pro. In the most crucial of situations, Casper had to make what most receivers consider the toughest catch of all. Looking straight back, then catching the ball as it came down directly over his head. The Raiders were now within tying field goal range, and after 3 line smashes, they faced a 4th and 1 at the Colt 5-yard line, with 29 seconds left in regulation. For a time, John Madden pondered the possibility of going for the win right then and there. But if they didn't make it, their reign as champions would end by that 1 yard. And so with 29 ticks left, Errol Mann unlimbered his leg to try and tie the game with a 22-yard field goal. Like a man who does this sort of thing 3 times a day, Errol Mann pumped it through, and the game was tied 31-31 going into sudden death overtime.
Start feeling connected. Stop feeling everything. Start feeling the road. Introducing Alero, featuring the active response system. 16 individual features working together to connect you to the road. Alero by Oldsmobile. Start something.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty, above a fruity plain. America, America.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
I'm going to the movies. Hey.
Philips High Definition Home Theater.
At Superior Bank, we help homeowners.
That's what we do. And we've been busy helping homeowners in all kinds of credit and income situations for over 75 years. Consolidating your high-interest credit card debt, reducing the number of your monthly payments to just one, and getting you the cash you need when you need it. Working with you, simply, easily, and honestly. That's Superior Bank at 1-888-678-7777.
She's done it. She's done it. A fairy story come true.
Hi, I'm old school Wimbledon champion Virginia Wade, and this is ESPN Classic.
For 20 points, can you name the greatest, grooviest swing in a 70s sports quiz show ever?
Would you like to try again?
Don't even ask us that.
Every weeknight from 7 to 8, ESPN Classic has got all the right answers. It's Sports Challenge. See the hippest, most happening athletes as they compete in the ultimate contest of mental conquest. If you've got a need for knowledge, check the facts on Sports Challenge. Every weeknight from 7 to 8, only on ESPN Classic. Are you old school?
The coin toss was crucial, for neither team seemed to be able to stop the other consistently, and the first team with the ball might easily be the last team with the ball. The team with the ball would be the Colts, and the pressure now sat squarely on the Raider defense, which performed brilliantly. There is growing suspicion that the Colts might never have scored, for on 3 fifth-period possessions, the Colts ran 12 plays. 3 were punts, 2 were incomplete passes, and 7 were runs that gained a total of 12 measly yards. The Raiders had a shot to win on their first possession of overtime, but Mann's 48-yard field goal attempt was blocked. It was, however, merely a stay of execution for the Colts. 10 minutes 44 seconds into sudden death, Stabler began another drive toward sudden victory. From the Baltimore 47, the Snake went for it all, but his pass to Cliff Branch was broken up and almost intercepted by Muncie. After reaching the Colt 35, the drive nearly ended again when Fred Cook engulfed Stabler and the ball popped free. But the whistle had blown, and Raider guard George Beeler recovered the ball anyway. More important was the fact that Oakland now faced a 3rd and 19 as the 5th period neared its conclusion. Branch's diving catch gained precisely 19 yards, and as 5th period turned into 6th, Oakland was on the Baltimore 10. And then it was over. Only the 3rd game in NFL history to stretch into 6 quarters was ended by Dave Casper's 3rd touchdown catch of the game, 43 seconds into that 6th quarter. It was the 3rd longest game in NFL history. The Raiders' first win in the playoff game away from Oakland, and truly one of those games where it's a shame both teams can't win. The Raiders had won it, however, and their season now continues with their 3rd game against Denver this season, this time for the AFC Championship. For the Colts, 1977 is a memory. Their 37-31 loss to Oakland hurts right now. But it wasn't a game that they, the Raiders, and pro football fans everywhere will remember for a long, long time.
This is ESPN Classic.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
Perhaps the concerned look on Eagle coach Dick Vermeil's face as he walked into Giants Stadium was because his team had won 5 in a row over the New Yorkers, and he felt that sooner or later they were going to get him. The Giants are showing a lot of new faces this year, and they are a vastly improved squad over the one the Eagles last beat. Nevertheless, the Philadelphians, too, are improved, coming into the game with a 6-5 record and playoff hopes. So it's no wonder Giants fans were looking nervously over their shoulders. On their side, however, they do have an ace in the hole, a former 5th-string quarterback named Joe Pisarcik, who is the leader of the Giants' renaissance. A big plus for the Eagles is the return of top rusher Wilbert Montgomery, who will bring strength to the depleted running back position, where Philadelphia has suffered attrition and the untimely mistakes of second stringers forced into starting roles. But as we'll soon see, the Birds did bring one early Christmas gift to the Giants, a woefully weak kicking game that has seen kickers entering and leaving the Philly camp, some staying not much longer than their hang time. The question now is, will that be enough of a gift to make the difference as the Philadelphia Eagles meet the New York Giants in the NFL Game of the Week? In the very early going, both defenses were made of heavy metal and stood impregnable. Shoulder pad sandwiches were the order of the day. The Eagles' passing game was not connecting, and on the ground, Montgomery and number 35 Mike Hogan were not churning out drive-sustaining gains. The second time New York had the ball, Pisarcik went up top on first down to wide receiver Johnny Perkins for 17 yards. Again on first down at the 19, Jersey Joe dropped back and spotted running back Bob Hammond alone in the end zone, where he split the twin threes on Hammond's shirt to give the Giants a 7-0 lead. On a replay, we see that Pisarcik directed the defense to the right with his eyes before looking to his left and firing the strike. When Philadelphia took over, quarterback Ron Jaworski found himself playing host to much of the Giants' defense. The pressure had Ron firing stinging bullets to his receivers, passes that were too low or too hard to handle. On this particular play, the ball had been thrown not too low, was not too hard to handle, but was hurriedly released and consequently intercepted by linebacker Brad Van Pelt, who gave his team excellent field position at the Eagle 38. Although the first quarter was only about 2/3 over, New York fans could see their team's dominance was unadulterated by mistakes. They were taking it to the Eagles, whose flight pattern was erratic and rapidly losing altitude. On the very next play, Pisarcik brought the crowd to its feet again when he stood his ground under a withering linebacker blitz and fired going down for an 18-yard pickup to Perkins. 2 plays later, Pisarcik became Mandrake the Magician, for when he gestured hypnotically, Johnny Perkins became invisible to the Eagles' defense, sauntered into the end zone, and began a lonely vigil until the ball arrived. The Giants' lead had now grown to 14-0. As a repeat shows, the Eagles simply blew the coverage, and Perkins' only problem was being left with too much time to ponder the consequences of a dropped ball, a situation which never got past the hypothetical stage. Now Jaworski and the Eagles were forced to play catch-up, and this gave the Giants a little more latitude on defense. The pass pressure did not relent, and everything Ron threw was a victim of this harassment. The pressure in the pocket was aided and abetted by good secondary coverage, as exemplified by number 22, cornerback Ray Rhodes, who stopped Harold Carmichael from gathering in 6 points. And then for New York, it was open your present time. Even the 6'8" Carmichael couldn't have fielded this punt snap, which Mike Michel miraculously tracked down. And even more miraculously, got off from his own 24 to the Giants' 35. A repeat shows that the punt center's moon launch was big trouble for Michel, whose superb effort set things aright, while the Giants almost caused a problem for themselves at the other end of the play.
Let's see, what's your favorite day?
Monday. No. Tuesday. Wednesday.
Yeah, right.
Here's a hint.
These are Friday's Chop House platters. Thick, juicy Chicago-style cuts of all your favorites, still sizzling from the grill.
I love Chicago.
The Chop House platters at Fridays.
That was good.
To the 1% of you who demand more from a truck, we offer this response. The all-new GMC Sierra. Totally redesigned with the first available automatic 4-wheel drive on a pickup and our largest cab ever. 1%ers, your wait is over. Right now, it's even easier to experience the pickup with the first available automatic 4-wheel drive in its class. The National Sierra Invitation Days, going on now.
How can you bring the world closer to you? Call Earthlink Sprint, America's leading internet service. You'll get direct, high-speed internet access. More local access numbers across the U.S. and Canada than any other ISP. All the help you need when you need it. Oh, yeah.
Now I can put my work out there for everyone to see.
Call today to find out more about Earthlink. And if you act now, it will cost you just $1 to try us for 60 days. Earthlink doesn't make you wait or hold you back. You'll get faster downloads, faster everything. Faster, 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 faster. All my favorite stuff shows up automatically. Earthlink was chosen as America's best ISP by PC Magazine. So why not sign up now? You'll get 60 days of unlimited access for only $1. Join more than 1 million people who have already made the move to Earthlink Sprint. We'll even give all your friends your new email address. Just call and bring the world home. After all, it is your internet. Oh, yeah.
You know all those stories you hear about how good it was and how much fun we had and how young we all used to be, about how much it all mattered and how much we all cared and how no one has ever done it higher or faster or harder or better. All those stories you hear, they're all true.
This is ESPN Classic.
As the second period began, the tone of the game changed, and Jersey Joe was going uptown with little or no return on his efforts, thanks to tight coverage by the Eagles secondary, which twice stung, was now alert and wary. On the Eagles' first possession of the quarter, Wilbert Montgomery broke the first good run of the day, a low-slung 14-yard burst up the middle. 13 plays later, the Eagles were closing in on a score, but Jaworski was still hounded by the Giants' pass coverage. Finding the open man was tough enough, but by the time that feat was accomplished, the man was no longer open. First, Ray Rhodes and then safety Ernie Jones, number 31, batted away touchdown threats. And when a 43-yard Nick Mickemeyer field goal was blocked, the Eagles came up empty. Then, with less than 2 minutes left in the half, Jaworski, desperate to get on the board, aired a 47-yard rocket to streaking Harold Carmichael, who made a fine catch and dragged Jones to the Giant 14. For New York coach John McVay, it was time to call for the Big D. But the Big D got sliced up, right up the middle for 8 yards and a score by Montgomery, and suddenly the game was a game. Then just as suddenly, the Eagles made their job a lot tougher, when once again their kicking game went awry. With 1:20 left in the half, Pisarcik was looking to get the points back, a cause which was helped measurably, 44 yards worth, by wide receiver Jimmy Robinson. The 5'9", 170-pound Robinson was finally run down from behind by 6'8", 275-pound defensive end Dennis Harrison, who scouts said looks like Tarzan and plays like Jane. But they forgot to mention he can run like a cheetah. A repeat of the play shows it was merely a quick screen not designed for such a huge gain. But some less than solid tackling let Robinson escape, and all of a sudden, New York was threatening. With less than a minute to go, Pisarcik was throwing, but an indignant Eagle secondary led by number 23 Bob Howard was covering with a vengeance. On 3rd and 2 at the 7, Pisarcik went at Howard once too often, and the 12-year veteran saved the Eagles 3 and perhaps 7 points. A repeat shows that Pisarcik tried to force the pass. Howard intercepted at the cost of some pain and would not be ready for action in the second half. As for the rest of the Eagles and Coach Dick Vermeil, they were just relieved to go into the locker room trailing by a 14-6 margin, which had shown all the possibilities of being much worse.
This man has a secret. It's a secret that'll give you the edge in your career. Sculpt your body and take your love life to new heights. What's the secret? It's Men's Health. Every issue brings you tons of useful stuff on the topics that matter most to men, like how to build amazing abs, lose weight fast, slash your cholesterol 30 points in 30 days, plus have great sex every day until you die. Call now for your free trial issue. Get the latest health breakthroughs, answers to your intimate questions, plus step-by-step exercise posters. Discover what women want and why they have men spinning in circles. Call now for your free trial issue of Men's Health. Keep it and get a full year for just $21.97. You'll also receive 3 free guidebooks: Quick and Healthy Cooking for Men, Burn Fat, Build Muscle, and The Men's Health Guide to Ultimate Intimacy. Don't delay. Call now for your free trial issue and free books. Get in on the secret.
Call 1-800-353-5522 now.
Yahoo! Giggle Wiggle gives you giga-gallons of giggle. Excuse me, did you say gallons of giggles? Gallons of giggles!
Giggle Wiggle's durable soft foam wigglers. Safely wiggle water everywhere.
Gallons of giggles.
Gallons of giggles.
Gallons of giggles.
Finally, a sprinkler that even the smallest gigglers can enjoy. You must be 18 or older to order. Call the number on your screen to order Giggle Wiggle from the people who brought you the Fanoodle. Thanks, Kid Power.
ESPN Classic. Are you old school?
Robinson dancing down the line at third. Robinson heading for the plate as Ford delivers the ball. The slide. Robinson is safe. He's safe.
This is ESPN Classic. This is ESPN Classic.
The only score in the third period was a New York field goal that put Philadelphia behind 17-6. The Eagles now needed 2 touchdowns to win, and with the way New York was coming after Jaworski, 2 touchdowns seemed almost impossible. Looking at this incompletion again reveals that the Giants linemen were constantly shifting their attack point, confusing the Eagle blocking assignments, and although not sacking Jaworski, they were forcing him into hurried passes. On this play, a combination of Troy Archer and Gary Jeter had forced Jaworski to bounce the ball to Mike Hogan. But on the play, Archer, one of the Giants' best defensive linemen, was injured and had to be replaced. The loss of Archer may have had an effect on the Giants' pass rush, for later in the Eagles series, Jaworski got some time to throw, but overthrew and Ernie Jones intercepted. Jones returned the ball to the Eagle 35, and late in the third quarter, New York had a chance to put Philadelphia away. For Jaworski, who had thrown only 9 interceptions this season, it was his second turnover pass of the game. But the Eagles' defense, which has given up the 4th fewest points in the league, bailed him out when they chased Doug Coder out of field goal range and kept the Giant lead at 11 points. Following the Giants' earlier field goal, the Philadelphia defense would not allow a first down and gave up just 38 total yards in the final 22 minutes of the game. There was no question that the Giants were finished scoring for the day, but that still left the Eagles needing 2 touchdowns, and the first would have to come from a long way away when John Shera muffed a punt and Otis McKinney smacked it toward the goal line. Vince Papale saved the Eagles, but with under 11 minutes to go, Philadelphia was 92 yards away from a touchdown that would bring them close. The Giant pass rush was still there, but a repeat of Jaworski's pass reveals that despite the pressure, the Eagle quarterback picked up 18 yards on a tough catch by clutch receiver Harold Carmichael. Carmichael has now caught passes in 92 consecutive games. The catch string is certainly impressive, but even more amazing is the fact that he has played in 92 straight games, where he is always public enemy number 1 and double covered by rival secondaries. The Eagle drive toward a proximity touchdown would of course be an air assault, trying to conserve time, and 3 times along the way, pass plays drew penalties, keeping the drive alive. An incompletion to Ken Payne became an 18-yard gain when Terry Jackson was called for interference. And 3 plays later, the Eagles picked up 17 yards when Jackson was called for interfering with Carmichael. Upon reaching the Giant 14, Jaworski began to work to his tight end, Richard Osborne. On the next play, Jaworski again went to Osborne, but he was clearly beyond the end zone when he made a fine catch over Ray Rhodes. On second down, a run failed to reach the end zone, and on the play, the Eagles were called for illegal motion. After some polite discussion, Brian Kelly and Jack Gregory declined the penalty. The Eagles had a 3rd and goal from the 4, 2 chances to get back in the game. Osborne failed to come up with a catch, claiming that he was interfered with. He didn't get the call he was looking for, but the Eagles made out all right anyway. On the play, the Giants were called for roughing the passer, and instead of 4th and goal, Philadelphia had a 1st and goal. Osborne, who was filling in for underpublicized but excellent tight end Keith Krefley, who was out for the rest of the year, probably was not aware that a different penalty was keeping the Eagles' drive alive. But from the 2-yard line, it took Philadelphia 3 more plays to score. And when Hogan did finally bust in, the Eagles had used almost 7 minutes and only 4 minutes remained in the game. The Eagles again missed the point after, but it didn't really matter. They needed another touchdown with or without the extra point as they now trailed 17-12.
You know, these days lots of deodorants are talking antibacterial protection. Fact is, every deodorant is antibacterial, so it's not about that at all. It's about whose deodorant lasts longer. High Endurance. Its 24-hour formula evaporates less quickly than the leading stick. Old Spice guarantees it, or they'll buy you a stick of yours. If you want odor protection that really lasts, High Endurance exceeds the need.
Mom's calling Enterprise Rent-A-Car because our car is sick.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up.
Wow!
Drive you to our place and get you on your way.
Everybody loves to be picked up.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
What's that?
It's a minty Pepsid AC chewable.
Chewable?
Yeah, they're individually wrapped so I can keep one in my purse. Because you never know when you'll want to stop heartburn before it starts.
Got one for me?
Hey! No, down here. Instead of running out for stamps, shouldn't you be running your business? Imagine a simpler way. Get the Personal Post postage meter from Pitney Bowes. Send mail without ever going out for stamps. Just weigh, punch in the postage, and voila. Professionally metered mail and no wasted postage. You can also add a personal message to get your mail noticed.
And postage refills by phone in 30 seconds, day or night.
Now listen up, because here's what you'll get. Besides a lot more time.
You'll get the postage meter and money-saving electronic scale.
So there's no wasted postage.
For a 90-day free trial.
Free is good.
You'll also get the Mail Marketer software.
Create really nifty direct mail to help your business grow.
Call now for your 90-day free trial, and you'll also get our Mail Marketer software absolutely free.
Now watch your business grow. Hey, I look good in red. The Personal Post postage meter from Pitney Bowes. Who else?
If you want to see the greatest uncut fights of all time, you've got to watch ESPN Classic. Now experience boxing's most unique show, an exclusive look inside the ring with the champ, Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray's Hit Parade. He'll take you through historic battles and give you the inside story behind every hook, jab, and knockout from fights that are totally uncut. Sugar Ray's Hit Parade. Tuesday at 9, only on ESPN Classic.
So close to the action, you got duck.
Are you old school?
This is ESPN Classic.
When the Giants got the ball, Philadelphia was forced to use 2 of its 3 timeouts and needed to break or face the task of another long drive with time running out and only 1 timeout left. The Eagles got the turnover they so desperately needed when rookie Dennis Harrison popped the ball out of Coder's hands. And rookie Reggie Wilkes recovered on the New York 33-yard line with almost 3.5 minutes to go. Suddenly, there was lots of time to pull out a dramatic fourth-quarter comeback. But as has happened to the Eagles time and again in recent years, when on the precipice of a great victory, they slipped. Against the Giants, an interception by McKinney appeared to send the Eagles down to another heartbreaking defeat. Philadelphia now had only 1 timeout left, and with less than 1.5 minutes to go, New York had only to run 3 plays and the clock would run out. On the first play, Pisarcik performed the obligatory quarterback fall-down play. But for some reason, the Giants did not repeat the play. Second down was a handoff to Larry Zonka that gained 11 yards, at which point the Eagles used their last timeout. Now just 31 seconds remain. One more play. But here again, the Giants went with a handoff that turned out to be their most damaging handoff in many seasons. Herman Edwards' touchdown brought the Eagles an unbelievable victory on a play that the Giants really messed up. Not only was the play call highly questionable, but the mechanics were off too. Instead of just falling on the ball, New York ran a play that required Pisarcik to do a reverse 180-degree pivot. When he bobbled the center snap, he could not make a clean handoff to Zonka. And when he could not recover the fumble, the Eagles were winners. If there is one team in pro football that deserves a victory like this, it is the Philadelphia Eagles. So many times in the past, they have been beaten in much the same way that they won this game. All the frustration of those losses was washed away last week as the Eagles' 19-17 victory ran their record to 7-5, just one game out of first place in the NFC East. Head coach Dick Vermeil, stoic through all the heartbreaking losses, was equally even-tempered in victory. Perhaps it was because of an added burden the Eagles team carried. Included in their prayers after the game was a prayer for owner Leonard Tost, who underwent open heart surgery earlier in the week and is now recuperating. Tost has asked of his coach that the Eagles play a meaningful game in November, and he will be satisfied. With the Eagles now in the thick of the playoff race, they face very meaningful games in November and December, and who knows, maybe even January.
Your way. It just tastes better.
I'm going to the movies. Hey.
Phillips, high-definition home theater.
Wow. Even the donut holes cost over $1.
Honey, nothing good costs under $1 nowadays.
How about a 20-minute call to anywhere in America?
That's crazy.
He's right. Dial 10-10-220 and all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents.
Just 10 cents a minute after that, man. Is it really that cheap?
Oh, yeah. Try it. You'll see.
Sure, cutie. Why not?
Step away from the pastry.
What?
That's the last declare, sir.
Oh.
Dial 10-10-220.
Hi, I'm old school pitcher Jim Palmer, and this is ESPN Classic. Now that's old school.
Check out the ESPN Classic website at www.classicsports.com for listings, stories, and the chance to tell us what you want to see on ESPN Classic.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
They are the most productive offensive team in NFL history. And for the third year in a row, this scoring strength has put the San Diego Chargers into the divisional playoffs. Head coach Don Coryell is the pass-minded wizard who has led this team, and today he squares off against coaching legend Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins. Nobody thought Shula could do it, but somehow he guided a very young Dolphin team to the AFC Eastern crown. Miami got to postseason on the strength of its defense, and their offense, while not in San Diego's class, has been more than good enough, thanks in part to the efforts of players like wide receiver Duriel Harris. Harris is one of the veterans of a very young receiving corps, comprised mostly of players known well only in Miami. Better known, but still maturing, is second-year quarterback David Woodley. Woodley has enjoyed some great moments during the season, but when he faltered, Shula wasn't reluctant to go to the bench and bring in veteran signal caller Don Strock. On more than one occasion in 1981, Strock has stepped in at critical moments, turned matters around, and has gotten the hot hand to get the offense in gear. The Dolphins know their opponent's offense is always in high gear. The Chargers can do just about anything when they have the ball. They can hurt you on the ground with the AFC's second leading rusher, the man who also tied an NFL record with 19 rushing touchdowns, Chuck Muncie. In the air, San Diego looks to a brilliant set of receivers, led by tight end Kellen Winslow. For the second consecutive season, Winslow led the league in pass receptions. So the stage is set from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. It's the Western Division champions San Diego Chargers against the Eastern Division winners, the Miami Dolphins. The divisional playoffs on the NFL Game of the Week.
Start looking forward to the drive home. Stop commuting. Start driving. Introducing Alero. Alero by Oldsmobile. Start something.
When I take a liquid antacid, I feel like, ugh.
Well, now there's new fast-acting Mylanta Supreme.
What makes it supreme? Wow.
Well, that's good. I'm not kidding.
Very light. Yeah, it tastes like a dessert.
Supreme relief. Taste it for yourself.
I'm going to the movies. Hey.
Philips high-definition home theater.
Why do I rent from Enterprise? Very simple. No stress.
We'll be happy to
They arrange to pick me up free, so I don't have to ask anyone for a ride. See? No stress.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
I got a new car with the red tail lights, like blue on the corners, and it's hung in tight. It's got a rag top and a contour hood. She goes up, and she's rocking. Let's go!
The 1999 Mazda Miata. Set it free, and it'll return the favor.
Tonight on ESPN Classic, at 8, it's a look at the undefeated Rocky Marciano on Behind the Fights. Then at 9, Maryland takes on Notre Dame on College Basketball Classics. Tonight, only on ESPN Classic.
He makes a nice move as a shot, and a big save by Fear there, right off his right glove. He shoots, save, rebound. Oh, Fear made two big saves, and it's off the post.
Hi, I'm Grant Fuhr, and you're watching ESPN Classic.
This is ESPN Classic.
In the stretch drive to the playoffs, Miami's defense was its strong suit, and it would have to be at its best against the Chargers' talented attack. San Diego tried to establish the run on its first series by going to Chuck Muncie, number 46. But the Dolphins' defense was determined to prove it was as tough in the playoffs as it was in the regular season. When the Chargers saw that running the ball was not in their best interest, they charted a flight in the friendly skies of Air Coryell. Number 89, Wes Chandler, hauled in a 47-yarder to set the stage for the game's first points, a field goal from kicker Rolf Benerschke. Benerschke would play a critical role in the game later on. But for now, the men of the moment were the members of the San Diego defense. Often maligned as one of the most generous units in the league, they set out to disprove that reputation in the first quarter. And David Woodley would be their unwilling victim. Leroy Jones, number 68, sacked Woodley to stop Miami. And then the Dolphins fell prey to the first of 3 key mistakes that would eventually give San Diego a commanding lead. Wes Chandler turned in his second big play within 4 minutes with a 56-yard punt return. It was the first time a Charger had returned a punt for a touchdown since 1977, and the first time the Dolphins had allowed such a score in 6 years. The irony of Chandler's run was this. The leading punt returner in the conference in 1981 is James Brooks, who was San Diego's deep back on the play. But the punt was short enough that Chandler, the up man, made the catch. He then made the most of his opportunity. The play stunned the overflow Orange Bowl crowd as the Chargers extended their lead to 10-0. But things were just starting to get bad for Miami. On the very next play, the Dolphins' special teams made a second costly error. For some unexplained reason, Miami acted as if the kickoff was a punt and did not pursue the ball. San Diego's Hank Bauer did, however, and the Chargers took over. Within minutes, Chuck Muncie swept right in, and the nightmare grew darker for the Dolphins. It was now 17-0 San Diego, but they weren't finished yet. A third key mistake was made by Woodley and the Dolphins barely a minute later. Number 27, veteran safety Glenn Edwards had the 6th playoff interception of his career, paving the way for another scoring situation. Charger quarterback Dan Fouts did not squander the opportunity. Rookie running back James Brooks went the final 10 yards for his first playoff touchdown, giving San Diego an astonishing 24-0 lead. And a minute and a half still remained in the first quarter. When Woodley was unable to move the team on its next series, Miami coach Don Shula decided to make a change. Riding into the rescue was backup quarterback Don Strock, football's answer to Goose Gossage. But unlike his baseball counterpart, who comes in to put out fires, it is Strock's intention to ignite the Dolphins. And that's just what he did. From the moment Strock entered the game, Miami was a completely different team. Three Strock completions set up Miami's first score of the game, a 34-yard field goal from Uwe von Schaman. It was still 24-3, but at least Miami had something, and they would get more after the defense forced an important turnover. Linebacker Kim Bocamper stripped Fouts of the ball, and nose tackle Bob Baumauer recovered the fumble. Then Strock continued his magic, connecting on 5 straight passes to move the Dolphins close to a score. The capper was a 1-yard flip to tight end Joe Rose, number 80. And suddenly it was San Diego 24, Dolphins 10. Strock's heroics galvanized the whole team. The defense stopped the Chargers the rest of the half. And when the offense took over with seconds to go, they stunned the Chargers, the fans, and the millions watching on TV with one of the most incredible plays of the year. Time ran out in the first half as Tony Nathan galloped into the end zone. Taking a page out of the schoolyard playbook, the Dolphins had turned a short completion into a 40-yard touchdown, and suddenly it was 24-17. Uriel Harris's lateral to Nathan was the single most important play of the half. The momentum had now switched completely over to the Dolphins. Once trailing by 24, they went to the locker room behind by only 7. The Chargers, predictably, were stunned. Only a short time before, it looked like this would be an easy win, but now they knew they were in a dogfight. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that an even more incredible second half would make this one of the greatest games in playoff history.
We had our first client before we had our first office.
Back then, we thought my green thumb and my brother's vivid imagination were all we needed.
We didn't count on nights and weekends trying to be bookkeeper and general manager. Before long, I could see we needed help. Financial help.
Someone suggested American Express Small Business Services, so I called. We knew about the corporate card,
but we had no idea it could help us grow.
Right away, we got a handle on expenses.
And when larger projects came along, they gave us the financing we needed.
We got more powerful equipment, brand new computers. We even get discounts on the gas we buy and the packages we send.
1-800-SUCCESS was the best call we ever made.
You know, with the corporate card, we've learned what it's like to have a partner you can count on.
And a brother.
To apply for the corporate card and help your business do more, call 1-800-SUCCESS.
She's managing her time, right down to the dime, with Sprint. Because now it's just a dime a minute on calling card calls, on calls to your Sprint 800 number and all calls from home. Call 1-877-5-CONTACT and switch to Sprint. You can't control everything, but you can make the most of your time. Isn't that the point of contact? Switch now for a dime every time. Call toll-free 1-877-5-CONTACT.
Every weeknight at 6:30.
Does anything ever scare you?
Shap one-on-one.
I was happy that he didn't get back up.
The best guest in sport.
Harding, what do you want to be? A football player or a playboy?
It was Don Newcomb not being able to win the big ones.
You heard it first right here from Chocolate Thunder, Derek Dolphins.
Shap one-on-one. The best talk in sports. Every weeknight at 6:30, only on ESPN Classic.
This is great. Talking to a friend, that's all.
I've never found an antacid to be pleasant tasting.
Well, now there's new fast-acting Mylanta Supreme.
Wow.
This tastes really good.
It doesn't taste like medicine, I'll tell you.
It tastes like a dessert.
Supreme relief. Taste it for yourself.
Do you have this size?
This is ESPN Classic.
As the Dolphins returned to do battle, there was simply no way they could anticipate what was to transpire. No way they could comprehend what a truly classic contest they would be a part of. It would take 4 hours and 4 minutes, nearly 14 minutes of overtime, over 1,000 yards in total offense, and 10 touchdowns and 3 field goals to decide a winner. Many would later call it one of the greatest games in the history of the NFL. Bullpen ace Don Strock began the third quarter by combining with Duriel Harris to sweep the Dolphins downfield. A pair of remarkable catches by Harris focused Charger attention on Miami's wideouts. So Strock changed pace and called on his tight end, Joe Rose. Rose's second touchdown of the evening deadlocked the score at 24. Earlier, San Diego had pumped 24 first-quarter bullets into Miami, and Dolphin fans were numbed and left virtually without hope. Now, early in the second half, they were given new life, and a laugher had quickly become a thriller. But just when it looked like Air Coryell was going down in flames, Fouts reloaded. Kellen Winslow would finish with 13 catches for an amazing 166 yards, thrust San Diego back on top, 31-24. Fouts made it all possible with a convincing pump fake to the outside, which froze a pair of Dolphin defensive backs. Winslow snuck in underneath, and he was wide open. The Chargers have been compared to the knockout puncher with the glass jaw. They can score from anywhere, but they too can be scored upon from anywhere. True to form, their touchdown lead quickly vanished. Late in the third quarter, Superman Strock utilized a splendid mix of run and pass and orchestrated an 83-yard march downfield. Patience and hard work, the mark of a Shula team, were the ingredients. Strock was patient, and Tony Nathan, number 22, was the hard worker. Suddenly, with a first down from midfield, Strock knew he had lulled the Chargers into sleep with dump passes and short forays into the flat. So he sent Bruce Hardy, number 84, deep. Of Strock's 4 touchdown passes, 3 were to tight ends, and the reason was simple. Both Rose and Hardy can get deep, and single coverage on anyone is exploitable. Hardy had only Woodrow Lowe, number 51, to beat, and the result was the longest pass reception by a tight end in Miami history, and it tied the game once more at 31. This had become far more than a football game. It had transcended mere blocking, passing, running, and tackling. It was a mini novel of climaxes, peaks and valleys, a human experience, an emotional event. 75-degree heat and humidity and the volatile nature of the game were beginning to take their toll. It was the Thrilla in Manila, the 1975 World Series, center court at Wimbledon, and Derby Day all rolled into one. Late in the third quarter, it was time for a Charger Valley and a Miami Peak. Lyle Blackwood intercepted and lateraled, and Gerald Small returned it to the Charger 15. And on the first play of the fourth quarter, Miami led for the first time in the game, 38-31. Who could have even imagined that trailing hopelessly 24-0, Miami could fight back to lead by a touchdown in the fourth quarter? This game was a collage of big plays, and before it would end, 75,000 Orange Bowl fans could arguably say to each other, "This was the greatest game I've ever seen." Ahead, the final chapter of a classic.
This vehicle is a lot like an all-weather coat. I mean, a tough one. It's ready for the elements, ready for any situation. But there's a surprise. When you go to put this thing on, oh, that's actually pretty smooth. There's fur in here. This is comfortable. That's the experience of looking at a Pathfinder and then getting into it. You're in a whole different world inside, and it's one of comfort and luxury.
Don't worry, little one. Daddy's got Tylenol for his headache. Tylenol works on headache pain without the risk of stomach irritation. So before you know it, Daddy's going to be right as rain.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
The hair is big, the tube socks are high, and the action is down and dirty.
Can you dig it?
All the moves are on ESPN Classic, roller derby style.
Ouch.
Right on. The forces of good versus some bad.
Shut your mouth.
So join the pack for a crash course in old school. I'm talking roller superstar.
You said it.
Friday and Saturday late nights only on ESPN Classic. Baby, it's Dynamite.
ESPN Classic. Are you old school? This is ESPN Classic.
The light at the end of the tunnel. At last, Miami could see it. But leading by 7 with 5 minutes to play, that light became an oncoming train. Number 37, Andra Franklin, fumbled, and Fouts drove his Chargers on, whipping them down the stretch. A courageous catch by Wes Chandler placed the Chargers at the Dolphin 10. And with just over a minute remaining, Fouts proved why he was able to break his own NFL passing record for the second time in his career, and why he led the league in touchdown passes this season. He waved his magic wand one more time. Number 21, James Brooks, tied it yet again at 38. It was a broken play, and fortunately for San Diego, Kellen Winslow did not touch the ball or obstruct Brooks's view. Fouts saw Brooks slip behind the coverage, but Winslow didn't know his teammate was behind him. 58 seconds remained, and in this game, 58 seconds was an eternity. From 43 yards out, Uwe von Schamann had a chance to win it for Miami with 4 seconds to play. Kellen Winslow tipped the ball, and this fantastic affair spilled into overtime. Sudden death. Many thought that at this point, Commissioner Pete Rozelle would take the field and distribute tickets to both teams for Super Bowl 16. After all that had transpired, certainly both teams deserved it. He at best could have given them Purple Hearts. In overtime, Fouts again added to his passing yardage that would eventually total 433 yards. Key catches by Winslow and Joyner and determined runs by Muncy and James Brooks carried San Diego downfield. Rolf Benerschke, perfect inside the 20 all year, poised himself to win it from the Miami 8. Unbelievably, the ball sailed wide to the left, and minutes later, von Schamann had a shot. Again, Kellen Winslow blocked his attempt, and the saga continued. The 4th hour of play had come to an end, and still a king could not be crowned. One man had to rise up and take control of this game once and for all. Otherwise, fans would drop, coaches would shrivel up, and players would require hospital emergency rooms. One man did rise up, and that man was Dan Fouts. Wes Chandler, one of 3 Charger pass catchers to go over 100 yards, caught a pair on the drive. And veteran Charlie Joyner made a big catch, good for 29 yards. Joyner's catch and sideline move got the Chargers down to the Dolphin 10. And finally and mercifully, Benerschke's kick was good. There was no emotion left. The game played on the evening of Saturday, January 2nd, 1982, was ready for the record books, and the athletes were ready for psychiatric assistance and intensive care. Miami's Cinderella season had come to an end, as San Diego had performed the impossible. They had defeated the Dolphins in their own home Orange Bowl. Surely there is no way that the Super Bowl in Pontiac can come close to being even a shadow of this classic contest. Arguably, this game may perhaps be the greatest game ever played. Certainly it is the greatest game played in a long, long time. It had more scoring than any playoff game ever, and undeniably more excitement. The expressions on the faces of the winner tells it all. Their reward, a date in freezing Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game.
This is ESPN Classic.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
Sunny San Francisco, site of the NFC title game, and a nice age away from the AFC's chilling championship in Cincinnati. Here, fans had little fear of frostbite, but the Bay Area was not without its own inclement weather. For weeks, heavy rains drenched Candlestick Park, and fears arose that the saturated field would provide treacherous footing for players. However, clearing skies and an expert grounds crew greatly improved playing conditions, enabling the San Francisco 49ers to take full use of their home field advantage. Their guests were the Dallas Cowboys, champions of the NFC's Eastern Division. Each team was a week removed from the big playoff victory as both offenses drubbed their opponents for 38 points. And this contest had the potential for another touchdown spectacle. Yet despite their abilities to put points on the board, Dallas and San Francisco are teams of contrast. The Cowboys are a veteran squad who approach the game with a businesslike manner. Conversely, the 49ers are the embodiment of the freewheeling Californian style. Their wide-open offense and gambling defense gave them the finest record in 1981 and sent a perennial cellar dweller to the threshold of the Super Bowl. A major force behind the 49ers' transformation has been the coaching of Bill Walsh, who in 3 years may have created the dynasty of the 80s. But before he can claim that title, Walsh must first disturb the confident vigil of Dallas's Tom Landry, who was coaching in his 9th NFC Championship game in the past 12 years. It was Landry's hopes that the 49ers' Cinderella story would write its final chapter on this day. But San Francisco has been a team whose midnight has yet to arrive. For the Cowboys and 49ers, a carriage ride to the Silverdome awaits the team who can secure the NFC's Golden Slipper. It's San Francisco and Dallas on the NFL Game of the Week.
This ESPN Classic presentation is brought to you by Philips, technology that's making life a little better all the time.
I'm going to the movies. Hey.
Philips High Definition Home Theater.
Rent-A-Car, because our car is sick.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up.
Wow!
Drive you to our place and get you on your way.
Everybody loves to be picked up.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Now, lower your score, drive longer, hit straighter with Golf Digest. Call now for your risk-free trial issue. If you like it, get 11 more 12 and all for $19.97. Plus this stroke-saving video free.
Call 800-249-1600.
The Triple Crown, horse racing's most difficult challenge. Now, ESPN Classic gets you ready for this year's big event. With Run for the Crown, 9 half-hour specials that take you inside the track with jockeys and race experts for a look back at past triumphs and races down to the wire. Photo finish! Run for the Crown starts Monday at 7:30, only on ESPN Classic.
is ESPN Classic.
The 49ers' ascension to the NFC Championship was engineered by quarterback Joe Montana. Throughout 1981, Montana's imaginative play calling has pierced every rival's defensive armor. But this was the playoffs, and everyone knows that you can't even dent doomsday. Everyone except Montana. By mixing running and passing plays, Montana easily drove through the Cowboys on his first possession and needed just 6 plays to get the 49ers 6 points. Montana spotted number 88 Freddie Solomon for a touchdown, and the score was quickly 7-0. 3 months earlier, the Cowboys were humiliated 45-14 at the hands of these same 49ers, and Dallas quickly made sure this game would not get out of hand. Dallas immediately went to the air, and with talented receivers like number 86 Butch Johnson at the receiving end, the Cowboy passing game was in high gear. Quarterback Danny White completed just 8 passes in the first confrontation, so the Cowboys consistently worked on San Francisco's 3 rookie defensive backs. But by concentrating on the secondary, the Cowboys became negligent of the 49er pass rush.